All right, and we are live. Hello, everyone. Andrew and Nathan here. Hey, Nathan, how are you?
Good, thanks, Andrew. Yourself?
Excellent. I'm sure we'll get a few viewers popping up to watch this live video, and I'm sure there'll be many people watching it afterwards because I know we've got nearly 1,500 interested people on our Illuminati Magic private page there to talk about all things Illuminati. And you've been extremely busy in the background over the last month or so, focusing on some new features within the iOS app. And I think the plan is it about Monday next week, Nathan? You think we should get that new app ready?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just in the process now of submitting it to the App Store and working through with Apple to make sure we comply with all their requirements. And we hope to be live by next Monday.
Fantastic, which is really exciting. I know I've been looking through at some of the test flight pages of the app. We did focus a little bit on the second site new features in a previous video that sort of showed about all the additional editing parameters that you could do for different reveals, automated reveals, and some features like that. What we thought we'd talk about today, which I know when I first saw this feature in the app, I didn't really understand its full capabilities and how powerful it could be. And now I know when we were shooting a lot of our promo videos and there was that group of girls that we took in at the bar and we said we'd buy them a bottle of champagne and they were absolutely hilarious. We did some really cool things there where I just lent my phone with the calculator open and they just popped in some random numbers and things like that. And I was able to tell her the suburb she lived in. I was able to tell her her age, her star sign, and all these things because of the little hidden earpiece that I had on me there. With that, and I know there's even more features than those currently available that you've added within the new version of the Toxic Calculator. Is that about right, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. I think on that night at Fringe, that was probably those group of girls probably gave the best reaction from the Toxic Calculator. The look was absolutely priceless. Actually, we might.
We've got your screen here if I pop this up. So for anyone that doesn't know where the Toxic Calculator is located, and also, Nathan, I know there's one little bit of setup that you have to do when you first download the app. Now, the app is free. So for anyone that hasn't yet, we should say, obviously, if you search Unify Thumper on the Apple Store, you'll find the app. The app is 100% free. And Nathan, the first question I guess we should answer is it going to be available on Android?
Yes, at the moment, the implementation is on iOS, but we are looking at an Android development subject to demand.
Yeah, I know you've got a team of people working behind the scenes. And when we initially thought about obviously going to two platforms, it would create so much extra workload to just ensure that everything was functioning that it would probably inhibit I think the 30 other new features that we've currently got on a list, hoping to be developing soon. So it is a little bit of a compromise between either creating a second platform that does the exact same thing or actually trying to broaden the capabilities and the advancement of the technologies within the one platform, which at least it's a bit easier to ensure that it will work on devices, because I know there's only iPhones as opposed to all the numerous devices that use Android. Would that be about right, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely. And also the platform works on a iPod Touch as well. So
exactly, yeah.
Low-cost device.
Blackpool, some people that had Android phones and all that, they just popped down to the secondhand store and bought an old iPod Touch or an old iPhone, or there's someone that was going to use their iPad, and your iPad could be in a suitcase on stage there if you're a parlor or stage performer, and you could be running the whole platform through that. So it doesn't have to be your everyday iPhone or phone. If you do use Android, you could have a separate device just to run all the programs through.
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. So once everyone's downloaded that app, obviously they will pop up here. You get to the main screen there. We've got your statuses. Now the statuses, that screen there is where all the information and events pop through, whether you're scanning cards, whether you've got other RFID tags, whether you've got dice, dominoes, poker chips, pens, crayons, all of the different products, those would all pop down on that screen there. Now the screen under that, Nathan, is the user modes. So that is where you head into the Toxic Calculator information to launch it. But before you do that, though, you need to go into the settings where you need to then take the screenshots of your current calculator?
Yes. Is it worthwhile, Andrew, just perhaps for anyone who's not familiar with the toxic calculator to go through what a toxic calculator is and the
You've
genesis?
done study and research on it just to know the history of it, and there's a little bit of that there. So yeah, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, the toxic calculator, the normal method is you use the calculator that's built into the iPhone, and you're forcing a number, or you're forcing a result after a mathematical equation. And so the way how that normally works is you borrow the spectator's phone, you type in the forced number. So that often is like, say, your mobile phone number, or it could be the current time and date, or it could be the number of people in the audience, or whatever that forced number is. And then you're adding a result to that. But when you add that result, it always works out to be 0, because you're taking 0 multiplied by whatever the spectators type in. So when they press equals, the number pops up, the forced number. And that's been great. And that's been a staple of mentalism for a very, very long time period. Back in 2002, Paul Daniels released one of the very first fake calculators, or a forcing calculator, on the iOS platform. And since that date, there's been around about 30 different fake calculators that have been released, including some hardware fake calculators, and obviously a whole stack of apps as fake calculators. What we're going to show you today is what we believe is the single most technologically advanced fake calculator. It allows you to generate a whole stack of pre-show work where you can gather information such as the spectator's birthday, their zip code or their postcode. We've got an inbuilt database of zip codes and postcodes in the app. So if someone types in 90210, we know that's Beverly Hills in California. You can source things like their PIN number. And all this gets consolidated and sent via text to speech to a little earpiece. All the fields are configurable. So that's a very quick snapshot. Is there any more that I think I should elaborate on that before we get into it, Andrew?
Yeah, look, I think people, as we slowly go through some of the editable parameters and seeing the different type of performances that you could do, whether you use the toxic calculator at the beginning or during a show to gather some extra information, or to force something, which you can then use that information in a reveal later on, or make it part of a mind reading demonstration whilst using other props. I guess we can go through slowly through some of the different editable features. And obviously, if anyone has any questions, they can post them straight in the comments below. And they will pop up on the screen so we can see them. And then we can sort of go through everything. So we'll pop up your screen there, Nath. Yeah.
Yeah, so as Andrew touched on, the first part is configuring the toxic calculator. So if you go in, so due to Apple's copyright, we can't supply the product with the identical screen to Apple's calculator. So the way how we get around that issue is that we can overlay a screenshot. And so if I go into the toxic calculator, I go to calculator settings. You can see this is currently what the Apple calculator looks like. All I'm doing here is I'm selecting a photograph, a screenshot that I've done already. So that now looks identical to it is the actual calculator. And then we actually, to provide the animation sequences when you're touching the keys, so we get the highlighted key, we're actually scanning that screen to determine what area is being touched to then emulate that. So it's a really elegant method of complying with the copyright held by Apple, but also giving a facsimile of identical calculator.
Now, on your settings there, Nathan, as well, I see at the top there's the hide peak screen when key release. So obviously what that's talking about is if you were to lend the phone to someone, take it back, you maybe didn't have your earpiece and you wanted to press the little peak screen button on the screen to visually see the information that has been entered. And that's choosing whether when you let go of that button, will it stay on the screen or disappear? So people can choose whether they want that on or off depending on the type of performance.
Absolutely. And of course, it also comes to your Apple Watch, on the peak screen on the iPhone, and text-to-speech in your earpiece as well.
Fantastic. I know we'll cover those. All right. So back out of that graphics there. So you've set up your graphics, and then now you've got the settings.
Yeah, so we have what we call calculator profiles. So
Yep.
these are 10 different profiles that you can easily switch between as you're using the fake calculator. So I've set up a profile 0. To access profile 0, all I do is I press and I hold the 0 key on the fake calculator for 2 seconds, and then that loads this profile. If I press and hold 1, then it loads the USA profile. Now, there are a couple of subtleties here. In Australia, we tend to gather information for birthday and day, month, year, and postcode, for example, whereas in the US, it's going to be month, day, year, and zip code.
Sure.
But you can gather any information what you want. It just depends on your performance style. So I'll just go into the
there is obviously you can have 10 different types of performances set up. You could have 10 different shows, and you know, you can easily then do a performance, and just before you start, you hold down the number that corresponds to that type of performance you're wanting to do, and it goes straight in. So you can have it all set up ahead of time, and just when you open up the app, it's really easy to just quickly go into which one. Now, we had a question just pop up, Nathan, which is worth answering now. And they said they've just downloaded the app and the toxic calculator is grey. Now, that's because currently the toxic calculator is an in-app purchase. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So at the moment, the in-app purchase, the toxic calculator is an in-app purchase, but we know that a lot of the performers are having a hard time. So Andrew and I have made the decision that we're going to give this away for free on Monday. And we're also giving away the NFC reader for free as well on Monday. So
yes, you should really keep an eye out on our Illuminati Magic Facebook page very beginning of next week, because once this app goes live in the App Store with all these new updates for both the NFC reader, you heard it here, as well as for the toxic calculator, we're going to make it free for a limited time for everyone to be able to download it. And then you've got all of these amazing possibilities of different magic tricks and things that you can be doing. And you can just start to learn a lot more about the type of capabilities, I guess, that these two special little editions within the whole Illuminati Magic range offers. And these will be free for all of our amazing clients and customers for a limited time. And that'll be happening once we get this new app live early next week. And I know, oh, there we go. Someone's already excited about that.
Great, great to hear. So please feel free to tell all your friends about it. It really is a great tool to use. So, Andrew?
Obviously, your magic friends, not all your friends.
Yeah, just to qualify that. So let's have a look under personal details. So now I'm just going to tap Personal Details USA. And I've got what I call my force configuration. Now, with my force configuration, I get to name what this effect is. Now, I've called this effect Personal Details USA. The reason why I've done that is, in this instance, I'm gathering the day the person was born, the month that they were born, the year that they were born, plus I'm getting the zip code where they live. Now, once I've got that information, I can then derive what star sign they are, obviously their birthday, what age they are, what zip code they are, what state they live in, and even what suburb they live in. So the more information that is being keyed in during the pre-show work, the more revelations that we can come up with.
Sure.
Now, in this instance, you can also have different force types. So the first force type is just the actual result. Now, all that means is no matter what numerical equation I type in, it will actually give you that final result. So if I type in 26 multiplied by 10, it would be 260.
Sure. It's the actual mathematical result. Yep.
Yep. The predefined number is no matter what they type in, it's going to be a predetermined numerical result. So quite often, that's the performer's phone number. We'll be covering some of the advanced topics later where you could, for example, you could ask a spectator to use Inject, get them to search their first love's mobile phone number, and then that could form the predetermined force result. But in this example here, you just type in what number do you want to be the result, And the third force type is time and date. Now, what the time and date force does is it automatically populates the force number to be in this format here. So we've got time, day, month, 2-digit year. So it's 1108 in Australia at the moment. So in this result would be 1108, 04, 05, 20. Now, the way I normally present this is when I ask the spectator to type in that force, type in their personal details, they press equals, it gets a nice big number. I then write that up on a chalkboard or a whiteboard, and I say, does that number mean anything to anyone? Everyone, of course, doesn't recognize it as a time and date. So I say, we'll come back to that. But once we come back to that, I can have another area here. It's a time adjustment, and that could be set for, say, 60 minutes in the future.
Yeah, so if it's, say, before the show, or if it's, say, at the beginning, and then you want to reveal all the other things first, and you can call back to that that time, which at the time it wouldn't link up to the current time, but you've got it set to have a delay of however many minutes. Now, I know one of the new features when we first started talking of this, Nathan, as well, with some others, was to then have a way for it to notify you. So if you weren't watching the time yourself, you had a way of knowing when that time arrived to know to then do the number reveal for everyone, which is that next little vibrate iPhone.
Yep. Actually, I think, Andrew, that was your suggestion at one point, wasn't it?
It's probably better if you say that than me try to take the credit. Yeah.
It's a good idea. Just so what this does, let's say that we set the force number for today's time and date. So 11:10 on the 04/05/20, but we set it for 1 hour, or let's say we set 50 minutes in the future. So 50 minutes from now is 12 o'clock. So that means the force number would be 12:00/04/05/20. When it gets to 12 o'clock, your iPhone will vibrate, and then you know you've got 1 minute to wind up your show to then highlight it. And the way I highlight it is I'm timing that so that this is at the conclusion of my show. My iPhone vibrates. I now know it's time to do my big reveal. And I just put 2 colons in for the time, 2 slashes for the date, and then lo and behold, it's exactly the time and date that it is when the show finishes. And the crowd goes right.
Different format styles there, whether it's 24-hour, whether it's 12-hour, whether it's day, month, whether it's month, day, whether it's 2-digit year, whether it's 4-digit year. So there's all of those different settings there that people can tweak around for whatever suits their performance and preference. So I think that's perfect covering those little features there. What's next, Nathan?
Yeah, so in the field configuration, I then specify what data I'm trying to collect from the spectator. So in this example,
just in other words, so what field means is that is so each time when I say to you, Nathan, can you please type in your birthday, just the day or the month. So each time you ask a question, you ask them to enter in something, that counts as a field. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So in this example here, we're asking for the spectator. So we're going to say, we need to create a nice big random number. So if you could please help me. And then you say, just type in the month that you were born, multiply that by the day of your birth, divide that by the 2-digit year, and add your zip code for it. And now press equals, and then you got some random number that's been calculated.
Yeah. Now you can be saying press plus, times, minus, or divide. It's not a specific one that they need to choose. And you kind of want it to be random and not be telling them which one, because then technically if someone else was following along on another device, or they were a maths whiz, they wouldn't know what the actual scientific equation was to be able to backtrack. So it's kind of like a plus, times, or minus, and then, So no, it's a perfect way. Yep.
And then, so if I tap on each of those 6 fields that you can gather, you can specify which field you're trying to enter in.
Sure.
So that's month. So I might just demonstrate that so that we can convey it. Then we'll come back to the peak in the text to speech configuration.
Yeah, sure.
So if I go into the toxic calculator, I'm going to press and hold the button 1 now. So now I've got the month, the day. So it actually prompted me to tell me what format to enter the information into.
Mhm.
So I was born in the 11th month, so I'm typing 11, pressing multiply,
Month 11.
typing in my day of birth is 26,
Day.
typing in 70,
2-digit year 70.
and I'm going to type in a zip code, 90210, I'll press equals.
Custom field. Nathan. Day. 26. Month. November. 2-digit year 70. 4-digit year 1970. Zip code 90210. Age 49. Zodiac sign Sagittarius. Birthday November 26th 70. City Beverly Hills. State California.
If I press and hold it, equals,
what they're hearing. So that is the text to speech. Currently, we've got set up to just be playing out loud so that people can hear it at home. But that could be going through to a little Bluetooth hidden earpiece in your ear. And you had another setting on them where it actually was giving you the information whilst you were going through it as well. It was giving you each of the fields as they were entered when they went to the next. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
turn those on or off. And you can also change how much information they say at the end. So if you didn't want all of the actual results or anything, and you only wanted to know the star sign, the birthday, and the state in your earpiece, you could take out all of that other information so it knows to only tell you in your earpiece the bits that you want. And then, like on the screen at the moment, you've pressed the reveal by holding down the equals. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So I've pressed and held the equals key. Then this pops up. There is an option, as we discussed before, when I release the equals key, then it will then disappear.
Sure. So just hold that just so we can just quickly see. So obviously we heard it all in the earpiece coming through, but it's summarized there. Now, custom fields, because you've either chosen this person ahead of time or something. So that's why it's got the name. Name what you've typed in yourself ahead of time, but you don't have to have that. If it is just a pure random spectator, that's fine. But you do get there the day, the month, the year. You don't have to have the 2-digit and the 4-digit. You could remove one of those if it's only the one that you want. We're just showing both. It's got the zip code, it's got the age, it's got their star sign, their birth date broken down, as well as the city, suburb, and state. So you'll in a minute probably show us the settings, how easy it is to add and remove and change the order of those things.
Exactly. So I just thought we'd just give a quick demo, then we'll come back to how we can configure it.
Yeah, you got a screenshot of like on the watch as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I go to here, so we can have a look. So that's the first screen that you get on the Apple Watch.
Yep.
But then if you tap on that, then you also get these results.
Sure.
And you can scroll through that. I can't
you see it. If you only had a couple of bits of information you're wanting, that could all show up on the one screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now to exit the fake calculator, I need to swipe from the far left, so I'm off the screen, to the right. So it's a little bit tricky. It's deliberately tricky, so lay people can't access the fake calculator. So my finger's on the far left-hand side. It's off the screen. I just do this
to make it out. Yep.
Yep. So now I'm doing that. Whoops, I've gone too far.
You were too good.
Yep, there you go.
Exit out.
So now I'm going to go back into the fake calculator again. And we're just going to show you, so we touched on the field configurations.
Yep.
So you've got a whole lot here. You've got day, month, 2-digit year, PIN number, zip code, postcode, home phone number, cell phone number, age, and there's a growing list as people make suggestions.
There's even more coming, is there not? When this next update goes, or even in the future, I know I've seen a bigger list where it's got so many more features as well.
It is. So we're constantly under development with this. We've probably got what you're seeing now. We've got probably just as many features coming out in about 2 months' time for the next version of it, which is just brilliant. And we'll cover those at the end with some really clever methods that we're going to be using. So if I then, we've got this custom field. So you saw that's Nathan. I've identified a target I've identified a spectator that I'm trying to do my performance for. So I've perhaps gathered their name in advance. That's used for an area called prevision, which allows us to render a video with this as revelation information. So we'll show that in operation, but briefly, it'll be a video of the performer saying, tonight I'm going to meet a gentleman called Nathan, who's a Sagittarius, who lives in Beverly Hills, California. And that handwritten text can change each time. I've also got announce individual entries. Now, some performers, as each field is being entered, like for month, I'm entering 11, then it'll actually say month 11 or November in my earpiece as each field is being entered. Some performers prefer to get all that information at the end. So when equals is pressed, it will then say all the text to speech. So whether you want it as each field is done.
Say you just had 5 random numbers chosen and you wanted to be passing the iPhone around to 5 different people, and each of them, by having individual entries, then if you were there, you could kind of remember or get a bit of info in regards to, oh, yours was 2 numbers were both the same, because you've kind of now got an individual entry for each person. So you can nearly do an individual bit of a mentalism read for each of them.
Exactly.
Without, I wouldn't reveal them all or something, or else it may become too obvious if the numbers aren't to equate to what it needs to be. But you could sort of go, oh, your number, that was a strange one, weren't they? They were both the same number. So you could kind of do something like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also configurable on a per profile basis. So one profile, you get individual entries being announced. Another profile only tells you at the end.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have so many options.
The peak configuration. So this allows you to include or exclude what information. If you recall, when I press and held the equals key and the information appears on my Apple Watch, you can change. If I don't want to have the day, the month, the 2-digit year, the 4-digit year. So now
or if you want to change the order as well. So
say again?
Or you can change the order as well, can't you? Just by dragging.
Yeah. Yeah, so I press and hold, I want the star sign first.
Fantastic.
So now in my peak, it will display the information in what field you've selected and what order you want them selected in.
That's great.
Now, likewise, in the text-to-speech configuration, we've got the same feature. So I can just choose which fields are going to be announced using text-to-speech.
And the order that they announce it, which is so good, because you can also then, the stuff that you're getting in your text-to-speech can be different to be what's showing up on your watch or showing up on your phone. Exactly. So in your earpiece, you only wanted to know the star sign and their age. You can just get those 2 bits of information, and then the rest of it can show up elsewhere. That's so good.
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? So that's the peak and the text-to-speech. We've also got the integrations. And so we touched on the prevision integration. So what this allows me to do is, in prevision, the video rendering, I've got three fields I can send. So I'm going to send the name of the person. I'm going to send their
send their birthday.
Yeah, birthday or star sign.
Yep.
And I'm going to send where they live. I'm going to make all that alphanumeric. So now, when I key the information in, or the spectator types in the month that they were born, multiply by the day, multiply by the year, add their zip code. As soon as they press equals, that is sent to the prevision video servers, and that now gets rendered in real time. And then there'll be a handwritten note saying, today I'm going to meet a guy called Nathan, who is a Sagittarius, who lives in Beverly Hills, California, or whatever information you have.
Way, I guess, to show the information in an impossible way, which is great. And I know we have many clients out there that do have prevision and all that. Obviously, it just depends what type of video you've set up. But it's a great feature there to incorporate, potentially, to have it fully automated as well, so that when the spectators enter the information, it's already now automatically being sent to configure the pre-vision video. It's not like you're having to manually enter it or have a backstage assistant to have to do that sort of work for you.
Exactly. Now, if I have set this up, rather than going to prevision, I could send it to a thermal printer. And then the fields, for example, could be lotto numbers. So I could have 6 lotto numbers. The phone, each 6 spectators, each type in their favorite lotto number. When they press equals, I get my force number. But as soon as I press equals, we print out a lotto ticket, one I prepared before. And then these numbers here are then printed on the thermal printer in real time.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
The spectator is actually doing all the work for you.
Yeah.
Also, we can control wireless clocks, for example. So when a spectator types and say if the field's hour in minutes, when they type in an hour, add to the minute.
There's my clock.
There's your clock. And then we type in other information as we're going. Again, as soon as they press equals, it might be, do you know what, do you have any children? Yes. We'll just type in the day they were born, the month they were born, the year they were born, the hour they were born, and the minute that they were born. Press equals. You've now got all that information, but then because we've had the hour and the minute, we've sent a message to a wireless clock, which has now set the hour and the minute to match.
Yeah,
but
and that's a little way to then give to them. You can give them the clock and they can keep it.
Exactly. So it's a really cool approach, very deeply integrated platform.
Those are
here.
reveals then there, which is perfect looking at those two, Nathan. So then after that, the text-to-speech configuration. Now, people can choose, if we now just go back into the text-to-speech settings, so a bit further back in the main text-to-speech setting, people can choose what speed they want that person to be talking in.
Absolutely. So if you go into the text-to-speech settings.
Yep, under the main settings, because this controls it for everything. So you can be choosing when you've got multiple products, if you only want to be getting the text-to-speech from specific things. You can choose how quickly or slow you want them to talk, the delay before they announce anything. If you don't want to hear the information in your earpiece until 30 seconds later, once you've got the phone back or once you've walked away or once something else has happened, you can have a bit of a time delay as well. So there's so many customizable features within all of the settings in the app and all the different languages there as well. So it's really designed for performers out there who want to be creating their own performance in their own conditions, and they just want it done the way that they want, because there's so many different things that they can change.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's I'll just see if I can demonstrate the Apple Watch here as we go as well, Andrew.
Now, if anyone has any other questions on Toxic Calculator, be sure to post them in the comments below, and Nathan and I will look for those as well, and we can answer them later. I know we've touched on Vince's comment already in regards to Toxic Calculator was grayed out on his screen. That's obviously because at the moment it is currently just a minimal purchase for an in-app purchase, but Nathan has broken the news that when the new app goes live around Monday next week, that we will be for a limited time making the in-app purchase for both the Toxic Calculator as well as the NFC reader, which we can probably actually, Nathan, do a quick little sneak peek at the end of the NFC reader in this, but I know we're running close to our time limit we wanted to do on this. But yeah, so both the NFC reader and the Toxic Calculator will be free for all of our wonderful supporters around the world. We know it's difficult times out there, and we wanted here at Illuminati Magic to offer a little bit of a free special for you guys to be able to play around with some things while you may be stuck at home or in quarantine. So yeah, so that's really exciting. I can't wait for next week for when the app goes live.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly touch on a couple other things that are under development that are not released in this version but are coming out. So,
okay.
So one of the really cool features that we're working on is integration into Inject. Now, what that allows us to do, a spectator can borrow a spectator's phone. You go to your Inject page, and then you hand the phone to the spectator. You get them to type in a number. So that could be a phone number of a loved one, or their credit card details, or whatever it is. When they type that number in, we receive that from Inject, and then we automatically update the force number to match the numeric number what they've searched for in inject. Did I explain that okay, Andrew? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, somewhat. I guess if someone has inject in that, then they probably would understand it. One of the other ones that I was thinking of, Nathan, I know we've spoken about this. I don't think this is current in the current app, but you can correct me and tell me. I think it is in production, or if not, if I've thought of something new, at least we've got it live and I can be credited for it. But, when we were talking before about, say, having 4 or 5 spectators that are each choosing a 2-digit number, and they're plus or minusing or timesing it, and you've got a force reveal number at the end, but you actually get an audio input that tells you a final number that needs to be done to the equation to actually make what everyone's done scientifically equate to what you want to be forcing. So in other words, if you were to have lotto tickets, lotto numbers, and you wanted everyone to be choosing the lotto numbers, but then you wanted to be able to give a number at the end, which at the time doesn't seem like anything, but it actually then makes the full equation scientifically correct with your reveal. Is that something that I think you might have in production?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're calling that the delta force. So we have a number that we know we need to get to. So let's say that we're trying to get to the number 10,000, and the mathematical result of what the spectators typed in is, say, 9,800. So now that we know, we now have the delta of being 200 between what they've typed in and what the final result is. So then we tell the performer that they need 200. So that could be a stooge in the audience who they get given the phone. They know they need to type 200 into the fake calculator to get to the right result. The advantage of that is it allows spectators to follow along with the force result on their own calculator, and then it all becomes mathematically correct. So
yeah,
that's
which is a fantastic feature. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So that's another really cool feature. Also, we'll have RFID as an input to the fake calculator. So I could have, say, a sequence of credit cards, and each credit card could have a RFID gaff in it. And that RFID information might be the credit card number. So then a spectator chooses a random credit card. They're all different. They hold the credit card between their hands, doesn't tell anyone about it. Use Second Sight to scan that credit card, and that becomes the force number. So no matter what, then another spectator is typing in all the data. When they press equals, it now equals the credit card value.
Sure. Now, okay, so let's say I can explain that. I'm thinking of another way. So potentially, if you've got 10 different books, and all of those books have your force word on a different page in those books, and you have it set up with the RFID tag in each of those books, set up so it tells you which page number you need to go to, whether it's page 100, page 274, or page 311. Depending which book is chosen, you scan that book. It therefore sets up what the page number needs to be for that reveal as the force number now in the calculator. So then when they do the calculator, it will ensure that it is the correct number for the chosen item that was chosen, and you scan it through Second Sight. Would that be correct, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another identical application that you could use. There's a lot of options that we have here.
Yeah, which is great. Okay, I nearly think, look, that's probably, I think, it for the moment on Toxic Calculator. If there are any other questions, I'm sure we can answer them as well later, and we'll probably be posting some more videos on the Toxic Calculator, as well as all the other cool features that are coming soon. Do you want to just do maybe a real quick little show and tell on the NFC as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go to devices. We're going to the iPhone NFC reader. Let me just...
Trudy.
There we go. So your iPhone has iPhone 7s and above have a inbuilt near field communications reader, NFC reader. A couple of caveats: that the RFID tags have to be formatted in what you call an NDEF format. But once you've got an NDEF format, you can read and write these tags at will. So if I go back into read again, I'm going to read RFID tag. Here's my tag, my iPhone. I'll just put this over here.
Trudy.
It's red. It's configured with my wife's name. So I tap on that, and there we go. So we can have a description, Trudy. The text is reveal Trudy, and the search URL pushes the www.buzzer.org or whatever website you want to a spectator's mobile phone. So we'll be covering in detail the NFC reader. We're also going to make this a free in-app purchase on the release coming out on Monday as well. So we'll get both the NFC reader and the toxic calculator coming out for free for everyone.
Which is great. So people may then just need to get their some little NFC tags to be able to use with the reader, but we'll have all the information where you could easily grab some of those to use. But just the fact that that app, which I know has been many man hours for several of your app developers to create, we just thought it'd be a perfect time, an opportunity for everyone while they may be stuck at home or you know, a little bit quieter with some work, to offer it as a free purchase to play around and I guess just see all of the potential that's on offer with the Illuminati Magic products.
Magic, that's great. Thanks very much, Andrew.
All right, guys, any other questions, post them below. And also here, let's do one final thing. So don't forget, head to Unify Thumper, search that on the App Store. That's where you'll find the app. Now, the app is free. It's this in-app purchases at the moment you'll see for the calculator that does have a charge. If you wait a couple of days, we will be making that free. And then also around Monday next week, so about a week from now, we'll be having a whole new updated app, which will have some additional devices and things inside it and more editable parameters, which will also feature that new NFC reader that Nathan's been talking about, and we'll have that in-app purchase free as well. I hope you've enjoyed this information video on Toxic Calculator and the NFC. Nathan, thanks again.
Oh, thank you very much, Andrew.
See you later.
Cheers.